Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Brett O'Loughlin here. We're on the Wise Ones on the USA Global TV and Radio Network today. Normally this would be my second show. Today it's my third. Things happen. We flip-flop, made things work. So anyway, regardless, I am a researcher when I'm not doing TV shows like this. I research the human body at the cellular level, chemically speaking. I look for cause and effect relationships. That's what I write about. That's what I speak about. That's what I talk about. And it's just one of those things I kind of fell in love with many years ago. And so my focus is on longevity and anything age-related diseases primarily. And when I'm not doing that, I love to cook and garden, do a whole bunch of other things that normal people do. My wife and I just got back off a 8-day cruise, learned an awful lot about writing and publishing. I publish books for people. I've done over 50 books. In fact, the guest we had earlier today on the show, the Corner Bookstore, I published his book in English, getting ready to publish the same book in German here this coming week. So lots of things going on in my life, but this is not about me, other than the intro at the beginning. But today I have Miles Spencer. Miles has been a guest with me on the Corner Bookstore. He's now joining me today on the Wise Ones. Miles is a business mentor, a digital media manager, father, world traveler, too many things to really list. So Miles, please join me up here on stage.
Hey, Red, thanks for having me.
I really and truly enjoyed our last conversation we had because we went kind of all over the world with your book, Line in the Sand, and that was kind of neat. And we kind of got into a few things. But in reality, was during the show, I kept wanting to go, this really needs to be in the other show. So I'm in that other show today, and I'm kind of happy about that. And if nobody's told you recently, you have a great smile there, Miles.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Got it from my mom.
So anyway, I guess probably the big thing you have going on right now is digital media managing. Is there something else that's up there at the top of the list?
Yeah, well, the big one is dad. No, top of the list is certainly this intergenerational AI, which you just brought up on the screen, called Reflecta, and it now families trust us with almost 14,000 of their stories. Which, what's unique about it is that instead of a photograph or a painting or love letter, this is a conversation. So I talk to my dad anytime I want. He passed away 8 years ago. So this actually brings back my connection with those that have passed, but also allows me to forge a connection with those that come after me. So it's truly an intergenerational application of AI. And it all boils down to one thing: storytelling.
Before we get into the storytelling, you introduced a topic at the very, very beginning that I have to ask you a couple of questions about. You said you're a dad. I saw in your website that you are watercoloring with your daughter.
True.
How old is she?
She's 12 now. It was something that we picked up during COVID. I've probably painted 1,000 watercolors since then. and most of them are from places that I love around the world, and that's my Zen time. But I really, really like it when my daughter joins me and we could paint, the same picture in two different versions. They do come out two different ways, I assure you. And watercolor is this wonderful lesson in how little we control of the universe. So, I've got a sketch and I got an idea and I got a direction of how it's going to turn out, and then the universe gets involved. And that's watercolor. So, that's something I love to do with my daughter.
And with your son, how old is he?
My son is 14, looks like he's 18, thinks he's 22. Rugby defines his life, and he's actually headed to Europe in the fall to go play for a team there.
That was the other two questions I had. One was the watercolors, and the second was the rugby. So, let's getting back into intergenerational AI and everything else that's revolving around your world. When did you come up with the concept for Reflecta?
Well, one might argue that it's been with me since the day I was born. So I'll start there. My great-grandfather, I was named after, Miles Sharpless Spencer. He had his last kid when he was 74. Kudos. He had 24 kids. Everyone asks the third question, and the answer is 3, and that is number of wives. His last wife was 26. Good for him. So I've known those stories throughout my life, and the Spencer stories just keep getting better and better and better. My co-founder, Adam Drake, has this wonderful family history and values and background and legacy as well, and we've worked together on and off for like 30 years. And suddenly, 9 months ago, we sort of looked at that attic at the shoebox up in the attic that was gathering dust, and it had photographs and slide trays and love letters and football programs. Like, what are we going to do with this? We can keep it for another year, and I'll see you at Thanksgiving. We'll talk about the box again. Those are all memories, and those are memory devices that help us retell those stories. But to be honest, they don't do a very good job. They do as well as they could, but all of a sudden, with the help of our platform, Reflecta, we're able to ingest all that media into basically a timeline. And, last night my father read a bedtime story to my daughter, and they talked about it until she fell asleep. It was Rudyard Kipling. And again, he passed away 8 years ago. So there's this beautiful connection with those that have passed, this beautiful continuation of intergenerational stories. And also for those that are still walking among us, they have an excellent opportunity to get their stories down and tell them to future generations. So for example, this week we just signed a deal with the Round Canopy Parachuting Team. It's basically the 82nd Airborne retired. And we're going to be jumping in D-Day with them out of the back of a C-47 that saw service in 1944 at D-Day. And all of those men and women just want to tell their story and make sure that it's preserved for future generations. So it's a wonderful collaboration that we just signed this week. We have churches, we have large corporations, we have just individuals that have all kind of backed up the truck and said, this is a much better way to preserve family, legacy, and values and stories for future generations.
Are you jumping with them?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I got my airborne wings at the age of 62, and they were blood wings. Actually, it pounded into my chest. I wasn't aware of that tradition until just moments before. Would have had another beer if I did, and and so I am one of very few non-military that's jumping. My partner in that is Wells Jones. He was Navy Special Forces Parachute Rescue Team Antarctica. So he's got hundreds of jumps, and I have a few less. I'm at between free fall and round canopy, 15, 16 jumps.
Okay. Now you mentioned C-47. That's the old DC-3.
Basically, it's the military version of DC-3. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they're still flying.
There are more than you would imagine on the east coast of the U.S., and then they all fly to Normandy. They take off from Cherbourg up on the Normandy Peninsula, and then we'll be jumping, I don't know, like this, everything from Market Garden to Mary Glees to all of the basic drop zones that were part of the D-Day 1944.
Yeah, I was going through navigation school back in 1970 at Corpus Christi, and one of the aircraft that we had sextants mounted in and all that other stuff for group gaggles. I guess usually 6 or 8 or 10 of us would go up on a particular navigation flight. We all had our own individual stations and everything, but one of the planes was a C-47, and it was interesting how that thing had, you could actually see the skin, kind of go back and forth, and it seemed like I could almost swear, but I can't absolutely guarantee in my mind that there was probably, we call it Treetop Airlines, Trans-Texas Airways, I think had a C-47.
Oh, really?
Way back.
wow.
And
Wow.
if that was in that transition time before the jets, the 707 was really predominant.
Mm-hmm.
C-54 and some other ones that were out there, or R-4D, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I think I had 1 or 2 commercial flights. My dad was a military Navy pilot, and I know he flew a lot of that stuff. So, but anyway, it brought back some memories to me when you mentioned that particular aircraft.
Yeah. I've been in DC-3. It's mostly in Africa, and it's when you're on the ground there, it's just basically a 45 degree angle to get your load in. And it's much more comfortable once you're airborne. But wow, yes, just I'm so thrilled to be part of the round canopy tradition. Have the opportunity to honor my family and others that have come before us that basically made their sacrifices so that we could be free.
With the 82nd Airborne, is that going to open up other military similar opportunities for you think?
We expect, yes. No surprise there.
Do you have one in particular you really like?
Like them all.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't care who wins the Army-Navy game?
No, I don't care.
Oh.
Just so it's a good game and it doesn't pour down, golf ball size hail. Then it's fine because that game's played at a particularly nasty time of the year in the Northeast, and it's all good fun.
And you would know that because you're from Pittsburgh?
Dunwich, the Airborne because I'm from Pittsburgh? No, I just, I did it all because I'm a curious kid. Happened to be from Pittsburgh.
I was referring to the Army-Navy game, which is typically in Philadelphia, right?
No, it travels up and down. It's been everywhere from Gillette Stadium in Boston. I think they played in Yankee Stadium last year, if I'm not mistaken. They played in Philly at the Vet or whatever it is. Yeah, so I think those are the 3 locations. I don't think they've ever played it down Baltimore, Maryland, or something like that. But anything between Annapolis and West Point, they move it around a bit. Yeah.
Your son have any interest, or your daughter have any interest in going to either one?
My son did, and will go to the summer camps there. But he's headed to Ireland to play. So, and he's 14 years old, so he's got a couple of years before he signs up for that.
Just to pass it on, my son was at Naval Academy, but didn't get in the first year, and they recommended to him to go and get a 4.0 or high grade point average. So he went to another university, demonstrated that he could perform at that level, applied as an incoming freshman from another university, not brand new incoming, but a transfer.
Mm-hmm.
No problem at all getting in that way, but getting in as an incoming freshman where you have to get all sorts of, dots, dotted cross T's and dotted I's, just something thrown in the back of your mind because, just because you don't get selected doesn't mean you can't go there. It just means there may be another path.
That's right. Good point.
That's, again, storytelling. Story happened to my son now. Did he graduate? No. He had a problem with chemistry and calculus, which, are 2 of my favorite subjects. But for him, his brain's wired differently. But It is what it is. And I got 5 academic degrees, all in different subjects. He has 5 academic degrees, mostly in political science.
Okay.
So it is what it is. You can't argue with success.
Let them choose their path.
But you mentioned Africa and traveling in C-47s. I know you're a world traveler. I know you wrote the book A Line in the Sand. We talked about that, particularly after the Middle East thing. For our audience here who's not familiar with the book, let's just chat very briefly about it.
Sure. It stemmed from myself and Wells Jones, my adventure partner, trying to figure out post 9/11 just exactly who, what, why, where, when. What were they thinking? And so we got a book called T.E. Lawrence, 7 Pillars of Wisdom. Like, wow. For the first time, here's a Westerner that truly understood the Bedouin culture and was able to translate it back to England and in English language. And so we looked at each other and we said, like, well, what's the next step? Like, let's go. So Wells and I got an invitation to speak because of my book at the time, Money Hunt. And we started off in Riyadh. Guess the speech went okay. And they said, what else can we do for you? They're very welcoming people, the Saudis, by the way. And I said, well, yeah, what we really want to do is hike 1,100 miles through the deserts of Saudi, Jordan, and Syria, retracing the steps of T.E. Lawrence. They said, oh, where do you want to start? Like, Jeddah. I'm like, okay. So we went from Jeddah, Yanbu, Aqaba, Wadi Rum, Kerbeck, Daraa, Damascus. So 26 days. And we got back and we realized, gosh, the things that we learned from the people there deserve to be in a book. And so we wrote A Line in the Sand, and it ended up a bestseller in Saudi Arabia and in Jordan, which was pretty funny. Didn't make the bestseller list here in the U.S., but the Saudis and the Jordanians loved it. And we used those. It's historical fiction, and so the history's there, but then there are 2 characters that kind of live adjacent to the history, try not to affect the history, somewhat like Indiana Jones bopping back and forth. And that went so well that now we've written a second book, which is called Havana Familia, and that is based in Havana, Cuba, another about to be a hotspot in our world, mark my words.
A lot of hot spots in our world here recently.
Well,
But again, hot spots occur. They just occur anyway.
yeah.
You have AI involved with your Reflecta, and I noticed here in the last probably year and a half, 2 years, that on some social media you see here's an old wedding photo, and all of a sudden the wedding photo, the 2 people look at each other.
Right.
And I'm sure you've probably seen that, and I'm not sure if that's something you use in anything at all, but I know that AI is just kind of exploding in so many different ways.
That's right. I mean, that got people's attention. That's good for about 3 seconds, by the way. And the important thing is there's no actual story, no context, and no voice behind it. Mm-hmm. And so what we do is we actually ingest all of the stories and the arc of the life and the timeline, the personality, the voice. So it is a significantly more compelling conversation. Remember, an interactive and dynamic conversation. We forgot the recipe for... sorry if I said this on the other podcast, but it's a good story. We forgot the recipe for elderberry pie at Thanksgiving. Now, that's a crisis in the Spencer family. And so I said, no problem, to my sister, who was responsible for said elderberry pie. Let's dial up Mom, put her on the iPad, put it on the kitchen island, and she'll walk you through it. And sure enough, she talked to her about how to use the Crisco shortening to make the dough nice and flaky, but not too fluffy. And then the filling goes this way. Elderberries were very unique, by the way. And my mom passed away 25 years ago. Mm. But she had that recipe in her knowledge base. It was in her voice. She was a soap opera actress, so the voice was perfect. And it was as if she was on a call with us. And so that's significantly different, I believe, than a photograph coming to life for 3 seconds, but captures the imagination.
Well, again, it introduces the topic of AI and what it's really capable of. And that's one thing. We're going to go to a commercial break here very, very quickly. And when we come back, we're talking about AI and a lot of different aspects. And so I'd like to get your thoughts on the future of AI, and we'll kind of wander down that road for a while.
Love to. Thanks.
Okay.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who was going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCramPerkins.com. Tracy Cram Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Retta Laughlin here. We're on The Wise Ones on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. My guest today is Miles Spencer. Miles, please join me back up here on stage.
Hey, Red. How you doing?
Excellent as always. One of the things that we talked about with AI is their ability to take a photograph and kind of manipulate the motion of the people. I've also seen AI where I could be speaking right now in Arabic and my voice and everything would be exactly the same. Lips would be lined up. Lots of things are there. What is your view of the future of AI?
Well, look, I think that our memories as human beings have been pretty leaky over the last 10,000 years, right? We told stories so that we could get some background in history, and we took pictures, and we wrote on cave walls, and we did calligraphy in the Middle Ages, etc. We're rapidly approaching an age in which none of those stories are forgotten. None of those facts are forgotten. None of that paperwork in the middle is forgotten, because agents can take care of a lot of it, and it's going to happen very fast. Elon said it was a supersonic tsunami, right? Happening so fast that people won't even realize it, and poof, their functionality will be gone. So what's meaning in a life in which some of these jobs which have defined us cease to exist? Interesting existential question. What's employment look like in that world? Well, either you learn new tricks, or perhaps you rely on UBI, Universal Basic Income, which I think is probably coming. I think my hedge for all of it is, no matter what happens to the middle layer of jobs, what happens to administration, what happens to the paperwork, it's all going to go away. The one thing that will survive, and it was in your open, is the power of storytelling. And that's what we're betting on.
Storytelling is absolutely very powerful, and it's interesting how it's being used in different cultures. Have you noticed a difference in like say you were over in Saudi for a while, I'm sure you've been to Europe and to Africa and other places. Are you seeing any differences other than just, it's always the South starts talking? You talked about your elderberry pie. Are you seeing any real differences in any culture between the way that stories are told?
Well, the cultures that came to mind, now look at Saudi, right? It's been around for less than 100 years as the present iteration of the country. It was mostly Bedouin, right? Those are nomads of the desert. Most of their legacy and values and stories and histories were passed on orally. And now They've become probably a top 3 country in the world in AI because of the amount of investments they've made. Well, look, they got the energy. Now you need the compute. They've made the investments there, and then you have the ability to create and consume tokens, and they're beginning to make the investments there. So I think that Saudi perhaps has the biggest delta in terms of the impact of AI on their society and civilization because of where they came from and the fact that they're amongst the leaders today. What I would say about what AI is doing is people are going to forget less.
Okay.
Well, frankly, us humans will probably forget more, but the AI will forget nothing, and we'll have it accessible to us instantaneously. Likewise, a lot of the things that you used to go hunting for, right? So here, let me give you an example. My book, Havana Familia, is new out on Amazon this week. If I wrote that book 5 years ago, I would have required a team of researchers of 10 people to go check out Cuba, Cuban history, U.S.-Cuban relationships, the Soviets, the Spanish culture there, the Venezuelan impact there, etc. Wrap them all into a book and then try to write something and then have a team of editors pick it apart here, pick it apart there, go back, etc. Right? The reality is, my research was virtually instantaneous, and so my role was to edit in a way that told the story that I was looking for. I could have never written that book. I mean, Line in the Sand came out 2 years ago. We had Havana Familia basically ready a year after Line in the Sand's release, but we tapped the brakes a little bit just to run the promotion out on Line in the Sand. We have our third book on the drawing boards right now. It's Peru. And that'll be done when we choose to drop it. Now, it's important to note this is not written with AI, but it is absolutely written with the research help and the editing help of AI. So all the little things I used to have to do, just get words on paper published by someone, now it's like, let's go. What's your story?
Interesting. And when you're talking about people telling their stories, because I know in my family, I'm sure you have friends, and we see things, the same thing, but we see them differently.
Of course.
And so you capture, let's say Aunt Gertrude has her view of what happened in this, and then you have Uncle whoever over here. They both saw the same, but just two different stories. But they're the stories that they saw, and that's their belief system. That's what they're living with. That's what and I think that's super important. And it may not necessarily, it's not disinformation, it's not misinformation. It's what they saw and what they believed and what they're passing down.
Someone important to me once said, there's at least two sides to every story, sometimes three. She was a lawyer, by the way. What we've experienced with Reflecta is, remember, these are the stories of parents, grandparents that primarily, when we first launched, it was those that would pass. So we had children of the Reflections that had lived in the same house, had the same parents, but apparently experienced a different childhood. That's to your point, right? That's why we call it Reflecta. It's based on reflections. It ain't reality.
Well,
but it's their reality.
It is a reality to that person, no doubt about it. Yeah. And with the help of AI, that reality becomes, I'm not going to say fact, but it becomes historical evidence of that person's existence and what they could share with others.
Exactly.
So when are you going to start doing the same thing with Klingons?
Elon wants to build a rocket. Actually, he's already done it, right? But he's thinking we ought to be able to get to Mars in case planet Earth just isn't going to keep us long enough. And I look at that and I say, okay, that's a worthy goal. But we're going to stay on planet Earth and record the stories of everybody that's ever lived here and stick around.
It's, I'm at that point in time now. I'll be 80 here in not too long, very short time. And I was reflecting, okay, when I was born 80 years earlier was literally the end of the Civil War. It's a relatively short period of time. Yeah, some people make 80, some people make 100, some people don't even make 60. But you take a look at what happened, at least to me, in my reflections, in my, I go back 80 years from when I was born. I mean, massively different world. If I go back 8 years from now, massively different world. And so you have to think to myself, what's going to happen in the next 80 years? What's going to happen in the next 18 years? It's just, and with AI and other things going on, what is that next thing that's going to either super crystallize AI into something else or, be a competitor to it? I don't know. But I think what you're doing has an awful lot of value because it captures that stuff that we want to know. What did Aunt Gertrude really think about, or how did she make her pies?
Bingo. The way we often express it is this. I grew up, the phone would ring in the house. We had no idea who it was until we said, Spencer family residence, this is Miles speaking. May I ask who's calling, please? Oh, it's Betty. And who would you like to speak to? Right? All that was done kind of in a vacuum. You had no idea who was on the other end of the line. By the way, for a time in Vermont, we had a party line, so somebody else answered the phone and say, get off the phone, right? This is ours, phone call. And so I lived in that world. And yet I live in the world in which I can also now dial up my dad for a pep talk before my son's rugby match and communicate with what I like to say, his spirit and soul, even though his body has checked out.
It's interesting. We had that one phone in our house. I'm the oldest of 9 kids. And there's just certain, as you say, a certain way you answer the phone and you pass it on. And then, I get this phone call, Red, which one? Because my dad was named Red. I was named Red. 3 or 4 others in the house had various, Baby Red, whatever. And so we had that, which one you want? Well, the one in high school, which one? And so we'd basically be giving them the third degree as they're trying to figure out who to talk to. I move ahead years. Now I have my son here and I pick up the phone, Red here. And then some young lady would be talking to me as if I am my son because our voices are so similar. Wow. And so it takes them about 2 minutes to figure out I'm not the Red they want to be talking to. And so, but again, now with you on the phone, I can tell you who's there. Or it's a different world.
A different world. I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to live in both. It's kind of like there is a book somewhere. I haven't found it yet, but apparently there's a book about a community in Ireland immediately prior to electricity and after electricity. You imagine what that does to the streetlights, to how late you stay up at night, to the fireplace and the hearth being the center because it's light and it's warmth and everything else, to suddenly I can stay up late if I want. I can read if I want. I can go out and the streets are lit if I want. A different world, an entirely different world.
Yeah, you've been to places I'm sure they don't even have electricity.
I have.
I think the only place I've ever been that it's very minimal, was just barely enough to keep the lights lit at night, was Bora Bora in Tahiti.
Okay.
Just didn't have that much electricity generation there back in 1970s.
I don't feel sorry for you hanging out by candlelight in Bora Bora and Tahiti, so good for you.
Well, military flight, first flight in there with a bunch of scientists studying equatorial waters between Hawaii and Tahiti.
So you were surfing?
No, I got on the first plane at a friend of mine who also says, you get to Tahiti, you get on the very first airplane, you go to Bora Bora. Okay. Years later, I get to Tahiti, I get on the first airplane I can the next morning, I go to Bora Bora. I didn't know what to expect, but it was probably one of the best pieces of advice I ever got in my life. So, but it's like you're talking about Peru. I tell people, you get to Peru, you go to Machu Picchu, climb Huayna Picchu, because you'll never forget that experience. And that's one of the things that most people don't know about, that little mountain, that sugar loaf in the back.
Sugarloaf. Been up a few times. As a matter of fact, it's a smaller hike. There's one above it called Cerro, and I have a good story about that one, but you'll have to tell me whether we have enough time for that. But it'll be in my next book in Peru.
No, why don't we take it right now?
All right, here you go. Machu Picchu, climbed it in the morning, staying up the Machu Picchu Lodge, so I had access. It's difficult to get access to a ticket to both of them, so it's like dusk, and like, I'm gonna hit it. So on my way up, I see others on their way down. I'm solo. Others on their way down. It's like, how much more to the peak? How much more to the peak? So it was the only way to kind of get a feel back then. There's no altimeters on your watches like all these wonderful things we have today. And so I get to the top, and it's very foggy, right? Like each time my foot hits the path, the mist spreads, and I can see my foot and the path, right? And I could hear the flapping of the flag. I knew that the flag was at the top of Cerro Picchu. And so I'm just moving on that path. If I stay on the path and I'm moving towards the flag, what could possibly go wrong, right? And the two things I remember are orchids, you're up that high, and hummingbirds. So it's this misty pre-dusk, orchids, hummingbirds, moving towards the path. I get there, I take one picture, and I peel away, and I head down the path and get back there before dark, and all's well. And I'm there with a guide who didn't go up with me for whatever reason. It's like, oh, you'll be fine. We're having dinner at the lodge. I said, wow, you made both. That's like not a lot of Americano gringos do that. And I said, yeah, well, it's a big day. And I said, well, when you got to the top of Cerro, did you crawl or walk? Because most people crawl. I go, no, I walked. I'm like, oh, most people don't have the stomach for it. I said, well, it was misty. Why? Well, it's because it's a 18 to 36 inch path, and it's a 3,000 foot drop to the Urubamba River on all sides. I didn't know it. I tightrope walked 100 yards. And you don't know what you don't know. I was fine. He told me that story. I was suddenly sick, recreating it in my mind, how close I actually was. But in the moment, not at all. That's my story about Cerro Picchu.
Yeah, one foot in front of the other. Coming down from Huayna Picchu, I didn't realize until I actually started down how devastatingly high and unprotected I mean, that scared me big time for at least 5. I'm going to say I was frozen. I'm super extra cautious coming down off the top of that one. But anyway,
down is hard. It's kind of like a ladder. It's like up is kind of sort of easier. Down is hard. And yes, it's the next step is a doozy, as they say.
Yes, it is. But anyway, we're getting to the end of the show. How do people get your book? How do people get in touch with you? How do people get signed up to do Reflecta? And anything else you want to tell us real quickly?
Yeah, sure. The book is on Amazon. It's Havana Familia, spelled like a mafioso would, with a G. As part of the Line in the Sand series. Reflecta is reflecta.ai. Oh, there you go. Brought it up. Thank you very much. Reflecta is reflecta.ai. And you can go talk to my dad or ask him about me. It's lots of fun. Then you can create your own Reflecta. And we'll leave it at that. I think that's pretty good when you see me on LinkedIn, of course.
For our audio audience, Reflecta is reflekta.ai. Just make sure that we cover our audio audience later on today when it shows up out there on the podcast. Miles, I enjoyed the first conversation we had not long ago. I super enjoyed the one today, and I look forward to the next time we get together and have a chance to just kibitz and swap war stories and stuff.
Pressure's on for me to bring up my game, but I'll try. Love to have you. Love to come back for a third one. Thanks for having me, Red.
Take care, Miles. We'll catch you later. This is Red O'Loughlin. We're signing off on the Wise Ones today on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And I'll be back again next week with 3 shows back to back to back. And I look forward to you joining me then. So until next week, take care of you all and have a wonderful time. Bye now.
Have you ever felt unheard? Like your words float into a void, leaving you invisible and disconnected? How about feeling judged, when assumptions overshadow your truth, leaving you misunderstood and defensive? And then there's that moment when someone offers solutions you never asked for, dismissing your feelings and leaving you more frustrated than before. It doesn't have to be this way. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the listening mentor, understands. She's here to help you reclaim your voice, build stronger connections, and create meaningful conversations that inspire understanding and mutual respect. Through her groundbreaking books, online and in-person courses, and interactive workshops, you'll learn how to navigate life's most challenging interactions. Discover the power of elevated listening and transform how you communicate. Master setting boundaries and asking permission to protect your peace. Learn to recognize and release judgment, fostering empathy and true connection. Dr. Kerbeck also offers personalized coaching, one-on-one or group sessions, designed to fit your unique needs. Whether in person or virtually on StreamYard, her guidance will empower you to thrive. You don't have to struggle alone. The path to deeper connections and better relationships start here. Visit drjacalyn.com or usaglobaltv.com. Join a global community of empowered listeners and transform your life, one meaningful conversation at a time. Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck is the listening mentor. Start your journey today.
Markets shift overnight. Technology rewrites industries. Leadership decides who survives and who scales. Real stories, real people, real business. Welcome to the Business Show on USA Global TV and Radio, reaching audiences in more than 60 countries and home of the YouTube Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. This is not theory. This is not recycled commentary. This is business in motion. Founders, CEOs, investors, strategists, operators, the people building companies, moving capital, driving innovation. We go beyond headlines into decisions, beyond noise into strategy, beyond trends into execution, growth, disruption, artificial intelligence, global markets, leadership under pressure. Hosted by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck and Al Sini, the Business Show delivers direct, unfiltered conversations with the leaders shaping the future of enterprise. If you're launching, scaling, investing, or redefining your next move, this is your front row seat. No spin, no scripts, no surface talk. Real stories, real people, real business. This is clarity in motion. This is momentum. This is the Business Show on USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Original music score Yefe Tang. Videography and production Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form are strictly prohibited.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.